Homelessness is a major issue in America. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, more than 500,000 people in the country experience homelessness on any given night, and nearly a third of them are children. The number of homeless students in this country is up 70% in the last decade, but a school called the Monarch School in San Diego is working to combat that. The public school is designed to specifically educate homeless youth. And Jeanie Ahn is a senior producer and reporter at Yahoo Finance, and she visited that school. Normally we're talking to you about finance stuff, but this is a story that is near and dear to your heart. So tell me about the Monarch School. What exactly do they do?
They are a public-private school. They have a special waiver with the government where they're able to dedicate K through 12. Everyone in that school is experiencing some level of instability in housing, so not unsheltered, essentially. And at the school, what I love is that they are able to provide specific resources and things like internship programs where they're dealing with their short-term needs, but also addressing long-term needs and helping them get back on track. Because a lot of times what happens is when you are experiencing homelessness, you feel bad for not working and helping your parents out. So there are chunks and chunks of time where you're just not in school. And catching up academically, economically, all of that is traumatizing for students. Right. So this school is really there to help on so many different levels.
So when we say homeless, where are these kids sleeping?
They could be in a motel, they could be in a shelter. Shelters let you stay for a week, a month, depending on where you go. And a lot of times, you know, what I didn't realize is that these shelters are open at night and they kick you out at 6 a.m. So at 6 a.m. you have nowhere to go. But a school like this, they open their doors at 6 a.m. and the kids start trickling in to take hot showers and get breakfast before school starts.
Wow.
And many of them have found a home in the school, and they feel that even if they are but their parents are far away, they travel hours and hours on foot, on trolleys, whatever it is, to get to that school so that they can have some semblance of stability in their lives.
So you just identified some problems that are specific to homeless kids. What other problems and challenges does the school meet?
The school meets challenges. It's not just for students, it's a family resource center. Right. So they have spaces for parents to come in and try to figure out stable housing. They have spaces for parents to come in and try to figure out ways that they can get their kids better opportunities. And they're not trying to keep the students in that school as there's a long wait list. If you find stable housing and you're able to move on and get a more comprehensive education, you are placed somewhere else with their help. But again, a lot of these students, when high school is hard, we've been there, but then when you're homeless and in high school or kindergarten and all of these things, and you can't talk about it with your friends, and there is that level of shame and embarrassment, at least being here, you're able to discuss it and get the help that you need, especially because there's so much catch up that needs to be done.
Right. So you interacted with these kids. I mean, what were they like? Could you tell that they were homeless?
You can't tell, and that's what it's hidden. Like you said, it's a hidden population out there. And but you really break down the numbers. We talked about 500,000 people experiencing homeless on any given night, but it's 1 to 2 million experiencing homelessness and unstable housing in the country. And that breaks down to, Anne Marie, 2 to 3 kids per class on average.
Wow.
So 2 to 3 kids in any given class in the United States is experiencing some sort of unsheltered lifestyle and instability.
Right.
And that is a crazy number, and you're not looking at that number on a day-to-day basis. But in this school, at least they are able to address it. And surprisingly, they're not talking about it with each other because it is an environment for them to be positive and kind of forget about their every day-to-day situation. You don't hear kids saying, "Hey, where are you sleeping tonight?" Right. They're talking about music. They're sharing, who their boyfriend is at the moment, But at the very least, the teachers know what they're going through, and they're able to say, "Hey, what can we do for you guys today? Do you guys need, an extra change of clothes? There's a boutique for you guys to go in and just pick up extra things that you need for your family."
So with those numbers, that means there are a lot of kids in this country that are just making do. They're going to whatever school they can. Sometimes they're disappearing for a couple weeks because they have to work, and then they're coming back. Because this is the only high school like this in this country.
Yes. What I was surprised to know is that 10 years ago when I worked at ABC News, I covered this story about homeless youth. And I remembered this school was the only school in the country 10 years ago specifically dedicated to K through 12 public students that were experiencing homelessness.
Right.
Today,
it's still the only school.
It's still the only school. And I looked at the numbers and I said, is it because homelessness is going down overall? That is in the report saying, you know, overall homelessness is on the decline. But when you look at the people who need it the most, and need the most support, the women, the children, minority groups, these are the numbers that are going up. These populations are the most vulnerable and don't have the resources that are matching the pace of the problem.
Right.
So this population still only has that one school. I mean, kids are allowed, if you are experiencing homelessness, you cannot be denied access to public education. And there are laws in place like the McKinney-Vento Act that say you have equal rights. And in every school, there is a homeless liaison. But when you are in that situation and you're literally living day by day, you don't know that these things are out there.
No.
It's
really interesting. It sounds like an amazing school. We know that education can make all the difference in terms of sort of switching the trajectory of a person's life.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jeanie.
Thank you so much for having me.